Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I had said in a short video earlier that we were going to be doing a steering upgrade install on Brent's truck behind me here. So we're going to go ahead and follow through with that and show you how to install that upgraded kit. So here we have Michael's kit. Very thorough kit, upgraded tie rod ends, gives you the whole steering kit. The only thing that you're going to see extra here is this bar here. This is a track bar. We're missing a jam nut on this side. It came with the kit and we seem to have misplaced it, so we're in the search for that, but that's neither here nor there. We're not really focused on this track bar here. However, I want to show the quality of this kit. So you can see he does a full TIG weld on everything here. And if you're not sure which side of these is right hand thread and left hand thread, if you see these little notches here, that designates that that side's left hand thread. So you actually get a fully adjustable kit like it would be from the factory, and gives you good quality parts here. And then something else to note, in this kit, the gold colored nuts, they were right hand thread and the silver ones were left hand thread. So you can go ahead and put those on their respective spots. But he sends you everything in this kit to upgrade your steering on your Dana 60 truck, and including the nuts, cotter pins, all of the little bits and pieces you need here. I actually run this track bar on the dump truck here you see beside us. That one is a Dana 70 up front, and I've had no issues with that track bar, not even any noise. So that was a very good purchase for me, and that's why we're going to go ahead and put it on this truck also and try to get all this installed for Brent on his truck. So we're going to go ahead and start by putting on the crossbar first, and that'll be the easiest thing to start with. So I'll go ahead and show you which pieces go where, and go ahead and get that on the truck, and then we can get a rough alignment on there for you also. So we're going to go ahead and start assembling this. I have Brent here to help me. Hi, Brent. Hey. So Brent's here to help me with this. This is better as a two-person job. So he's going to go ahead and start putting that one in. And like I said, we have the spaghetti sauce here again. So I like to anti-seize these threads really well and get these wound in to what you think it needs to be. So we don't have any existing steering on this truck, so we're going to go ahead and try to figure out where this needs to be and align it that way. So he's got that one started. We're going to go ahead and start on the next one. Like I said, we're going to go ahead and anti-seize everything. That's why I usually have rubber gloves on, and a little bit goes a long way, but I really like to coat these because these are notorious for locking up on you and not being adjustable. So that is the short one. Show the camera there, Brent. That's the short one. So that's the short one that goes on the other end of the long arm, and the long arm gets the one with the rod end hole. So that's what you want to do with that one there. I'm going to go ahead and anti-seize this one and get this one ready for him too. That's the left-hand thread one there. Like I said, the left-hand thread goes on the side with the notches in the end of the rod there. So now that we have these started, once we get them all going here, we're going to go ahead and take this crossbar and loosely install it in the knuckles of the axle over here. So we'll go ahead and show you that and then get this kind of aligned. I'll show you how to get this set up and aligned correctly. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get this steering put together here. You had seen we'd put everything with anti-seize on all the rod ends and got them all loosely fitted up. And here's the reamer that Michael sends. Now you can see there's some tape on there. And I took caliper here and I went ahead and measured the thickness of the knuckle here. So you want to measure this thickness. And since this is the corresponding rod end for that knuckle, You want to put this nut where you want it. And on this knuckle, it was 26 millimeters thick. So from the bottom of this nut, you make a mark on this rod end. So you take your mic here, spread it open, and you want to measure the thickness of this. So I have a mark on here. It's hard to see. You can't really see it in the camera. So you pull it out, and it's about 18.7 millimeters. So then you want to come over here, put your mic on your reamer, and put a mark on your depth. So that way when you're reaming your knuckle out for the steering suspension, or the steering, you want to make sure that you don't go too deep. Because if you go too deep, you're going to seat this tapered shaft too far in, and you may have to end up putting washers underneath this nut, and that'll also bury this seal too far into the knuckle, which is not good either. So to make sure that you take these measurements, and like I said, this one was about 18.7. I went ahead and made it 18.9 just to make sure that it was a good seat. And we're going to go ahead and ream this knuckle out just to show you what the process involves. Okay, so we're under the truck here. See, I got the reamer with the mark. Just go ahead and put it up in here. Now you want to make sure you ream from the bottom up, because that's how it's already tapered. If you screw up and go this way, you can see how much more you'd have to go, and then you're going to run into problems with your alignments for your steering linkage and then also your leaf springs. So make sure you ream from the bottom up, because that's the way your taper's already going. And you don't got to go far. And almost there. And that's all you needed right there. So that side's done. That's all it needs. So we'll go ahead and we'll get that rod end test fitted, make sure it fits in there nice, and we'll do the other side. All right, so we got the rod end here. Brent brought it over for me here. Make sure this goes up in here. So as you can see, that's real, fits in there nice and tight. That's the depth we want. That way when we put the castle nut on top, we don't have to worry about the pin not going through the castle nut. So we'll go ahead and do the other side, and we'll get that put on there. Okay, just because we want to be extra sure that we're doing this correctly here, we're going to mic this side. So this one is about 26.5. So we'll come down here and get your castle nut where you want it on this rod end. Make sure that you can get your cotter key in there correctly once I find it. So you want to measure down that 26.5. This one looks like it's just right above the end of the taper. Give that a measurement. So this one's a little bit deeper than the other one at 19.59. So we had that other one set up at, I think, 18.9. So what we can do is we'll just take the reamer here and we'll go ahead and ream this up. Just go a little bit into the tape just to make sure that it's good. Can you hand me that, Brent, please? Thank you. So we can actually double check this just to make sure. Yeah, so my tape is set at 18.9. So just need to go up into that tape maybe 1/8 of an inch. So just want to take your time with this and let it do its job. And then if you have this mic, obviously you can check its width here while it's in the truck too. But you want to make sure you're getting the very outer bottom edge. So that's 18.5. So we'll just give it a little bit more. And then we'll go ahead and test fit this one in there. And we'll just put this nut on here so you can see it. So this one actually's got to go a little bit more here. So we'll go ahead and pull this back out and ream it. That looks to be pretty good there. Yeah, that'll work for us there. So you want to make sure that you ream these and test fit these, because if you don't do it, you can over ream, and then that causes you more problems in the long run, which is what nobody wants. So we got this bar put in here. We went ahead and attached this PMF linkage bar here. This is a 1.5 inch DOM from Michael. I do believe he uses 1 1/4 now. So this bar is a little bit big. So we put this on here and we ended up having a clearance issue with this brace right here. So we're gonna have to do a little bit of clearancing here. Right before you get to full lock, this bar obviously gets closer as you turn. It does clear the differential cover, but it does not clear this brace that PMF puts on this bracket here. So we gotta have to do a little bit of work with that. But we have this on here, and I wanted to finish doing this install for you guys. We have to ream this hole out a little bit larger for the accompanying rod end. So we're going to go ahead and show that to you. Okay, so you want to take your mic again here, measure your thickness of this rod end. So let's see what this one ends up being. It's about 21.1. So you'll want to take and do the same thing that we did last time and measure from the base of the nut after you've lined it up with your cotter pin hole, and then measure down and get your thickness. So this one's also looks like to be 19.9. So just about the same place we were last time, which is good. So our previous mark will work. And we'll go ahead and get that reamed out. As you can see, we got a long way to go with this one. So we'll go ahead and try this on here, make sure it's going to fit correctly. Because I'm probably going to have to go some more on this one. Yeah. So we have to go a little bit more on that one. So a lot of this is a lot of trial and error. You want to make sure that you get it in there. Like I said, we made that measurement to give us an idea, but sometimes it doesn't always work. So there we go. Make sure this is going to fit nice the way we want it to. Perfect. So you still have to do the pitman arm. We have everything reamed correctly, this rod end, each knuckle, and that's how you set this steering up. You can see this is all put together here, and then this end will go up to the steering box. Now you'll notice that we set this up this way here. This rod end on the main crossbar has to be over here, and we chose to keep the same like thread on the same side. So you see both gold nuts are on this side. So your left hand's on one side, your right hand's on the other side. They're both the same. So when you go to adjust these, you adjust them the exact same way. You're not flip-flopping. So make sure that you use the short rod end for the knuckle here on this side. The one rod end with the hole on this side. We used the shorter rod end for the drag link on the passenger side, and the longer drag link rod end on the driver's side. This will go to this pitman arm. Okay, so we got this crossbar off of here, your drag link. We're going to go ahead and mic this thickness here because that's going to make a difference for us. So this pitman arm is about 24 millimeters, 23.99 there, so it's bouncing. So we want to make sure that we'll check that depth again on that rod end and make sure that we have the correct thickness for the seating of the castle nut. But to get the reamer up in here, we got to take this bar back off. And so we're going to go ahead and remove that bar, and we'll get this reamed out. We'll show that to you, and we'll put this all together, and you can see how it all fits real nice. So let's get this bar off, and we'll get this reamed. Okay, so we got our reamer here set for depth for our right thickness and taper there, like we showed you earlier. We're going to have Brent ream this one out, and hopefully he doesn't have any issues with it. So go ahead, Brent, when you're ready. So when you last saw the video here, Brent was underneath here reaming this out, and that just wasn't working. So we ended up taking the pitman arm back off and reaming it in the vise so that we could get that pitman arm reamed correctly. Once again, following the same process of testing along with getting everything fit in. So now we have our crossbar here, and we'll make sure that we put this on the correct way. Do we have that castle nut? So you can take that in there. I'll come down here. Okay, so you got to get a lot closer there, right? Mm-hmm. So just hold that rod end and go ahead and twist that bar to where it's going the correct way. Okay, I'm going to grab the camera here so you can see what Brent's doing down here. So because we have a left-hand thread rod end and a right-hand thread rod end, you just twist this bar to where it's the correct length for you. Getting a little tight on you? Mm-hmm. So that's why we have the hex ends on the end of these bars so that you can get a good grip on there. So the only thing you don't have is you don't have a hex on the rod end, so you have to grab it with a pair of channel locks or a pipe wrench or something to hold that. If it gets to be too tight for you, you have to go a little bit more there. But you don't want to move just one rod end at a time. You want to spin the bar, and that bar, the other rod end is held in over here, as you can see. So you got to go some more. Keep going.
No, it's pulling it. If you look at it here, it's there. You just need to pull it that way.
So none of this stuff is tight yet because we haven't seen how this is all going to fit up here. However, this is the setup that you're going to have once you're all said and done. So we'll have to tighten up these castle nuts and put the cotter pins in, make sure that they're nice and tight. One thing I'd like to mention here is when you have a PMF bracket like this, we had to do some pretty serious modifications for this Michael Lucio kit to fit with this bracket, because this bracket's designed to use the factory steering stuff, which is like an inch complete diameter, whereas this bar is an 1.5 inch bar. I do believe Michael said he has switched to 1.25 inch bar because this kit's a couple years old. How old is this kit, Brent?
Yeah, it's probably 2 or 3 years old.
Yeah, so 2 or 3 years old on this kit. But this toe bar here, same concept. Twist, just like this, to adjust your toe. So I'll show you how to get your toe pretty close here. The right way to do this is to jack the whole truck up, and you want your tires off the ground. But in this scenario here, we're just shooting for close because we do not have the whole body on the truck. So this is just going to be for eyeball purposes so that it's close for running it around once we get it put together. So what you need is a tape measure, and you want 1/8 inch of toe in. So you got to pick somewhere on the tire, and you'll usually make a mark. A lot of guys will tell you to jack the truck up, and you'll have a mark, and they tell you to put a mark the whole way around the tire. That way, whenever you spin you don't have to spin the tire front to back, but you need to make sure that that mark doesn't wiggle on you. So I usually just make a mark on the tire and then turn the tire 180 degrees to the back and measure back there. So 1/8 inch of toe in is your cross diameter here. So just pick a spot on that tire. So he's got a spot picked over there. I got a spot picked over here. So this is 65 7/8. So what you want to do then is, okay, so try to get the same spot, same type of tread on the back here. And this here is 67.5. So we have 1.5 inches of toe in right now. So that means that your tires are like this. So what we have to do is you come down here and you want to make the space between these tires larger. So like I said, that was about 1.5 inches. So when you spread that bar, that creates the better toe in. So pick a spot, as long as you have that same spot in the back. So right now, I got about 66.5 in the front. And about 67 here. So we need to go a little bit more to get this where it should be. So keep this in mind. As you spread this toe out, you're also changing this also, because this is bringing this rod end closer and closer to this tire, because this tire is directly connected to the steering box through this rod link down here. So, okay, so now you've spread your toe out, now your steering wheel is going to be turned. So whenever you adjust your toe, you need to adjust your drag link bar. Obviously, we don't have a steering column to show us where our toe is, so we're not going to worry too much about that right now. But as of now, this truck is very, very close to alignment spec. So we're going to go ahead and tighten everything up and put the cotter pins in, and we'll tighten up all these jam nuts. So with these jam nuts, you run these all the way down to the bar. So I'm just going to use this one because this one's the easiest for you guys to see on the camera here. And I always, 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 always douse these with anti-seize. And we are going to make a mess because there's a lot on here. But this truck's not going to get driven in the salt too much. But anybody that ever works on this truck will be super thrilled that there's anti-seize on everything, because everything will come apart. So what you want to do is, once you get this jam nut down to the rod, you're going to put 2 wrenches on there and just tighten them down together. So then that'll lock this rod end into this bar and keep it from moving. But that's the install on the upgraded rod end kit from Michael Lucio. And it's very simple to install. One other thing that I'm going to show to you here, because this is a little bit important. This rod end, you can see that it moves. The whole thing can turn. When you go to tighten this all up, you want this to be as straight as possible. So parallel to the frame, so to speak. And then that also makes this joint here as parallel here also. So that way this joint isn't turned or cocked and wearing on the rod end. That also gives you a better steering angle here. So when you go to tighten this jam nut down, so we'll tighten this jam nut down here, and like I said, you wind these all the way into the rod, and then you put 2 wrenches on these and you tighten them down. Make sure that this one, because this is the most important one, because this keeps everything in sync, so to speak. Tighten this down very, very well. Make sure that that's on there good and tight. Because if you're gonna tighten these up and you don't tighten them all the way, this can cause you problems. They can wiggle, give you bad steering feel. This bar can actually spin on you driving down the road. This bar could spin on you driving down the road. So you want to make sure that those are always very tight. I mean, you don't got to go on there with a 4-foot bar, blah, 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 blah. You just need to make sure that they're good and tight. Don't use the wrong size wrench and round it off. Make sure that it's correct. But that's all for this steering setup. So keep following for more progress on Brent's truck, and then also some more OBS content. And you'll obviously get to see Brent a little bit more, hopefully. But thanks for watching. Appreciate it if you'd like the video, if this helped you out, and we'll see you on the next one.